Hello and welcome to the 52nd episode of the Real List podcast, a podcast about our real list. I'm your host, Ellis.
And I'm your host, Gloria, and today's selection we have is from me. This movie is Steven Universe, the movie. We've been anticipating watching this movie for a while. We picked it right before we watched Hamilton. Well, I picked it right before we watched Hamilton. And we never got to film Hamilton, never got to, watch this movie and stuff like that.
Yeah, the slight correction is we picked it before we planned to watch Hamilton.
Yes.
We picked it before we planned to make episode 50 back in December. It's been 4 months.
But I got sick. But here we are now, and we're already 3 movies deep.
Yep.
So, here's to making another 50 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, tell us about Steven Universe, the movie.
Steven Universe, the movie, came out in 2019. This is directed, it's based on the Steven Universe TV show. Directed by Rebecca Sugar, Joe Johnson, Kat Morrison, starring Zach Callison, Estelle, Michaela Diaz,
I don't know.
Didi Mongo Hall.
It looks like Dietz.
Dietz?
Wait, which one? Michaela. Yeah, it looks like Dietz.
It looks like Dietz too to me. Didi Mongo Hall, Sarah Stiles. This is basically jumping into after the last episode of the Steven Universe TV show. It's supposed to be 4 years into the future because Steven was
So it's 2 years.
2 years into
16.
the future. Now he's 16.
And he slightly has a neck now.
And he's older, and he's matured, and he has entered the gems into Era 3. And the gems want him to stay, and he's like, no, I have a home.
The diamonds want him to stay.
Yes, the diamonds want him to stay.
Who are technically his siblings, sort of. More like his aunts, but he is his mom, so it's a really interesting... I was reading a thing about how Rose became Steven, that sort of thing. It was an interesting post on Reddit of people trying to speculate how that actually worked. The of course missing piece of this whole thing is we're watching this movie because Gloria is a huge fan of Steven Universe. And
this is my favorite show. I've watched the show itself, Steven Universe, 5 times through and through. And this is my 3rd time watching the movie. Yeah,
this is the pit stop on the full show rewatch that you're currently on, which is why we're watching this movie now.
Yes, so now I can watch Future and then cry myself to sleep again.
The nice thing about this movie being here in the middle is that otherwise we would not be able to talk about Steven Universe because it is not a movie. We wouldn't be talking about it on the show if it didn't have a movie.
Yeah.
But this is barely a movie. I'll be honest, this is 82 minutes long. That is an hour and 20 minutes, give or take. That's so short. That's an hour and 20 minutes, including credits and everything, including the long intro sequence, which, introduces the entire world in case... And this is something I think they did really well, in case this is your introduction to Steven Universe for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't... The introduction of the world and of all the gems really has a... welcome to Steven Universe sort of feel, and not a here's where they all are now sort of feeling.
Mm-hmm. It gives you a whole synopsis of what you're getting yourself into if this is your first time watching the movie. This is your synopsis of what you're getting yourself into.
If this is your
first viewing of the show,
if your experience Steven Universe starts with the movie,
theory of Steven Universe,
the world,
the universe of Steven Universe.
Yeah. You're drunk.
I am not drunk.
You said you were drunk before we started filming this.
Hush.
Anyway, so this introduces a new villain. The movie starts off with them being happily ever after.
This is all happy and going, and here we are. We can finally start living our lives the way we want to, not having to worry about people coming to Earth and attacking us. And then here's this gem that they know nothing of and coming to attack them. You really do not like Spinel.
I don't like Spinel. And it's not even I don't like her because she's the antagonist. I don't like her character at all. And that isn't a critique of the way her character was created, because it's created very well. It hits the mark that they were aiming for, because we've watched some other stuff about this, commentary by Rebecca Sugar and things like that. But, man, she's just so grating. I cannot stand Spinel. I was muttering, like, please just punt her a couple of times. Or, like, put Spinel into a cannon and fire.
Sunset does not like Spinel either.
Yeah, well, she's intentionally grating, But the introduction of Spinel is a masterclass, in a sense, in showing how dangerous your villain is by having her beat the crap out of people that you know to be very good at fighting, at least if you know Steven Universe.
Well, my thing is, this is also not our first time viewing this movie. We've also watched this movie before we even thought of making it a podcast and stuff like that. So we've already watched this movie. So, like, these are your, like, second opinions.
Yeah, this is not my first opinion. This is after coming through it again. I looked at it, and I sort of had the ability to, because it's so short. I wasn't lost in it as much as I've been in other movies that we've watched, even ones that I have been rewatches for me. Because it is well paced. It keeps you at kind of like a surface level as each of the problems get solved one by one. And there is some interconnection between them, and this isn't me knocking on that the plot isn't complex enough or something like that. But the problems are each solved in isolation. Again, I'm not calling that out as a good thing or a bad thing. It works very well in this medium. It works very well in the case of this movie. Because the main three crystal gems get poofed and they get reset. So Pearl and Garnet and Amethyst are, reset back to
when
they were
first
created.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the Rejuvenator, that's what it's called, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And they've lost all their memories, and Steven has to...
As business says, that sets naughty gems back to their place, or gems that are
if gems were stepping out of line, it would reset them back to the way they made it. It's nice to see... It is nice to see these be very solvable and small problems that are corrected through a song. There's a lot of spontaneous song in this. It is a musical. But I feel like they apply the songs very well, because
the placing is right for all the songs.
Yeah, there are a couple that are a little bit more on the fence as to whether they work or not. Disobedient comes to mind, because it doesn't really do anything.
No. I do want to say, though, but I do like how it's not like Hamilton, where Hamilton is just strictly all song. There's more movie to song ratio in this particular film.
Anything has more movie to song ratio than Hamilton.
Yeah,
Hamilton has a total of 10 words.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, there are plenty of places, plenty of scenes that are just dialogue.
There's a nice amount of breakage, like, in between each, like, next song.
You know where I didn't feel like that?
Where?
At the beginning. It sort of rolls from one song into the next, into the next at the very beginning.
It rolls from Let Us Adore You to Happily Ever After, and then to Other Friends.
Yeah, I felt like I didn't have a lot of room to breathe in there, which, again, this is very short, so it makes sense. I'm sad that there isn't a track listing on the Wikipedia article. That'd be very nice. There is a list of all the characters and who their voice actors and actresses are, so that answers your question. But anyway, yeah, it was... I feel like they could have done more with the villain and the implications of a new villain. Instead, it was a movie about retracing the steps of...
What, like it's Pink Diamond's fault, it's Rose's fault, now
No,
Steven has
no.
to...
More literally.
Okay.
More
Explain.
literally. As in, the way they brought these gems, the way they brought Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl's memories back is by literally going back and repeating their history.
Reliving their history. But I mean, it makes sense, though, if they're supposed to be putting the pieces together, don't you think that they should be reliving their history to understand their pieces? It's like amnesia.
I don't think that it's wrong in the context of the film. I think that this isn't as much of a shooting for the moon sort of plot as Steven Universe could be. And I know that they sort of had to throw this thing together. But if you have seen the previous 5 seasons of Steven Universe, nothing that happens along the course of this movie with regard to getting the 3 main characters' memories back comes as a surprise. You don't get to dig deeper into these characters' histories, particularly
because you
Amethyst.
already know.
Exactly.
You already know about their history and what they've become or who they've become throughout the years.
And where they were.
Yeah.
And where they come from. And again, particularly Amethyst, we kind of know Amethyst, by the end of the series, sort of front to back, her entire history and her entire psyche. And this is just like, hey, remember all that stuff that we did with Amethyst in the last 5 seasons?
Here it is again.
Yeah, let's do it again in the form of a really good song, but still, it's not new territory. I don't think that's necessarily... That doesn't make it bad, but it's sort of a small scope thing compared to what it could have been, maybe.
I also want to say, I gush over this movie and everything, but the one thing I don't like about it is Garnet's end song.
The True?
Yeah.
I actually really like that.
I don't know.
It gets stuck in my head. I forgot it was from the movie, actually.
Drift Away has to be one of my favorite songs next to Independent Together.
If I don't have the meme on hand. I might put the meme on the screen that I made for you.
Not only because I cry every time I hear Drift Away, but because the powerful meaning behind it. Like, Spinel was left in the garden for 6,000 years by herself. Of course she has every right to be pissed off. Like, wouldn't you be if the one person that you were, like, instructed to entertain for End of Times left you?
Just ditches you and disappears.
Just left you for years, and then you find out 6,000 years later that she's gone, has been long gone, and she's surviving by her son?
Yeah.
Like,
she made new friends, she had a kid. Like,
she moved on with her life and she forgot all about Spinel. So I understand where Spinel is coming from, because I would be pissed too.
Oh yeah, I mean, maybe not destroy all organic life on a planet.
No, obviously not. But like, I'd be like, yo, what the hell happened here? Like, I got ditched.
You know what's funny? Right at the beginning of the movie, something that never gets resolved and never will be because it's not important that much. What's the first thing? Like, one of the first things you said right after Spinel showed up?
What?
I know this is like the 3rd time you've watched this movie, but you were like, where did she get that? The injector.
Yeah! Yes! Where did the injector come from? Because obviously she didn't go to Homeworld and get it from them. So my question is did Pink Diamond just have all this extra warfare, like these war crime weaponry, like lying around somewhere in her garden, or like
Spinel did the Matrix thing. It was like, we need guns, and it just appeared.
Or Spinel knew of the places that Pink hid her stuff. Like, there has to be a reason.
That is likely. I mean, I don't see why Spinel wouldn't know where to get something like this if it was formerly Pink Diamond's. Mm-hmm. Which I can only imagine that.
And it also,
it was.
If you looked at the injector, it looks like the injectors from the kindergartens.
Oh yeah, it's just a bigger one.
Yeah,
it's
I don't
a
know if
bigger
you
and juicier
that.
injector. But yeah, it's an injector.
Oh well, I also know if you don't notice that the gem on top of the injector was shaped like a heart. It wasn't to look like the normal ones. It was to look like Spinel.
I get the feeling that if it's something that was left over by Pink Diamond, putting the heart on it is probably something that Spinel did. We don't know what Spinel is capable of in terms of manipulating crap, but honestly, it's unimportant.
The one thing I have to say about Spinel's character is I like that when she got rejuvenated, she reminded me of the game, Cuphead and Mugman.
Yeah,
She reminded me very much of like the animation style of Cuphead.
Oh yeah,
the video game.
That's intentional. I remember watching a video with you where they brought up that and sort of her uncanny, like she is world bending as a character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where did she get that stuff? It doesn't matter. Why is she able to like swing around and stretch out and do all these bizarre stuff constantly?
She's an alien.
Yeah,
people.
that we haven't even seen the gems do really. You know, why is she so much better than them? She's not better than them. She's just different in a way that they didn't expect.
She's an Era 1 gem. Era 1 gems were more experimental than others, obviously.
Perhaps.
I don't know. I've never...
Well, I mean, technically aren't they all Era 1 gems? Because Era 2 began when Pink
was gone.
Transformed. Or, yeah, died, quote-unquote. So, I think everyone is an Era 1 gem, pretty much that we meet in the series, aside from Peridot. And that's explicitly called out as she is an Era 2 gem, and she needs limb enhancers, and this, that, and the other thing. It's one of those things. I don't think that's it necessarily. I think it's just her. Oh no!
Just the way
her as a character
was made.
and her character design, where she is not explicitly, but a little bit meta.
Mm-hmm.
Like she exists on a layer that's a little bit closer to the fourth wall than everybody else seems to be. There were a couple things in the beginning, I think even in Other Friends, in the song Other Friends, where she's a little bit meta, where she makes a couple of comments that are sort of like...
Like what?
I wish I could remember off the top of my head, but there were just some things that struck me as like, oh, okay, this is, you know, she's kind of on another level. Are you going to look up the Other Friends lyrics?
Shut up. Is there, like, do you want me to,
I mean, we can just talk about the show. I mean, I will look through this and see if there's anything.
I really like the song with Steven and Amethyst, where Steven's trying to get her memory back.
It's a wonderful song.
It's a really good song, and it's just like, it shows you how much Steven really cares about Amethyst and how much he really wants to get his friends back. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Because he feels like he can't do it alone without them, which, I mean, he totally can. Like, he feels like he's incapable of doing things without the gems, and he's totally wrong in that aspect. I mean, granted, he is half human and half diamond, but it's different, you know? I don't know if I'm explaining it right.
I was trying to find a line. I don't think it's in the song. It might just be near it.
I know you wanted to talk about Steg.
Well, yeah, the best fusion. Steg is fantastic. Mr. Multiverse. I understand that his existence is divisive in the fan base, but first of all, Independent Together is a jam.
It is.
It's fantastic. And just, I mean, look at the guy.
Man's got 4 arms and 6 packs to
yeah.
cut diamonds with. Oh, wait.
Well.
Oh, wait. Wait.
Well. Greg DeRock, so... But honestly, though,
I like how White Diamond's always just a cunt, though. She's trying. She tries not to be. Your planet is disgusting.
It's one of these things where I'm so sad that the show got cut where it did, because we could have had more of the we could have had more of everyone and everything, you know?
Rebecca Sugar, if you ever stumble upon our podcast, reboot a show with just
the
diamonds.
I'm sure we're the only person... just the diamonds.
Just
make it like
the diamonds. Make an adult TV show with just the diamonds. Like the diamonds never before seen.
What would be the comparison of that show? It'd just be like, like they're all sharing an apartment sort of thing, and they have to
well,
deal
they
with
share a war. They share a planet together. They share.
Yeah, but they're also like 100 feet tall, so a whole planet might as well just be like a city block to them. I did think when we see the diamond spaceship land, I thought it was flexing, which was a very funny moment to me. But yeah, no, I mean, in general, it's a good end cap for the series. And the message of that there's not like a happily ever after. I mean, that's kind of a downer idea, but it fits with the show's theme of you always have to be improving, working on yourself. I mean, that's sort of the message. That's the explicit message that Steven has for himself at the end of that's the piece that I'm missing. I learned how to change. And yeah, I mean, it is just the best episode of the TV show, really. It's just a really long episode.
I love this frickin' movie. Like, from the songs to... Sorry, excuse me. From the songs to the art choices to the designs and the way that they played out this movie. Like, I could have never asked for a better movie. Like, this is a children's movie. But here I am, a grown adult, talking about this movie like it's the best thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, don't underestimate how much somebody can love a show or a movie, anything like that, because there's a lot of people here who loves and appreciates the show as much as I do, and will support it no matter what.
I'm so torn right now.
Why?
Because I don't know if I should have you do every episode drunk, or...
Why? Because I'm so talkative?
Well, I knew you were going to be talkative about this movie anyway. I really like Let Us Adore You. I don't know why that's just something that I need to blurt out right now.
And then the
harmony of the diamonds.
Yeah.
What's the song in which Greg sings a line? And it's not good.
It's the end scene.
It's the end scene?
Yeah, where they're like, talking about the future.
Yeah.
Here we are in the future.
Yeah, Greg is a fantastic character. He might be my favorite character in the show, but he's not the singer. He's not as much.
Greg is a hot dad.
He's guitar dad.
He's guitar dad. You're right.
And you did ask me what my favorite of the gems was, and I think I have to go with Garnet.
Garnet is the OG mom. Garnet is superior. Her and Ruby and Sapphire make a great lesbian couple, and Garnet is their wonderful, wonderful love child. And Steven is the precious, precious baby that they must watch at all times.
3 gems and a baby.
For real.
No, it's a lot of... It's tough for me to make that call because I was just going to be like, oh, Peridot or Lapis, because I think Lapis is great. You see Lapis smile so much in this movie, it's weird.
Oh, that shows character development.
Yeah,
Hello.
that's what I said. But she smiles more in this movie than the entirety of the series. Probably including Future. I don't remember, though.
Man, now we have to watch Future?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's nothing forcing us to. We don't have to make an episode on it.
Steven,
but
Universe.
I know that you want to. But
I do. I really do, but I'm watching Pose, and I'm watching a whole bunch of other stuff right now.
Do you remember any of the, opinion you had of this movie the first time you saw it?
The opinion of this movie the first time I saw it, I literally sobbed through the entire thing. I cried my eyes out because I was like, oh no, here's the movie, and then I gotta watch the TV, and then I gotta watch Future. I was so upset. I was distraught. I was like, now here comes the real tears. I was like, and now I'm gonna just sit here and bawl my eyes out like a baby.
Because of the contents of the movie, or because the show is over?
Because they don't make the show anymore.
Yeah.
Like, don't you ever get upset about your show ending? Like,
oh, of course. I mean, I get upset about Stargate Universe having ended after 2 seasons, every other week.
See, the thing about me, though, is I got into Steven Universe very late. Like, they were already into the 3rd season when I started watching Steven Universe.
It's the middle. But okay, carry on.
What did I say?
You said very late. I feel like I got into Steven Universe very late. Because everything was already out for years.
Well, it was late considering when I started watching it, whatever. But I started watching it like third season, and ever since then I've just been addicted to the show.
You punched the microphone.
My bad. My bad. I've just been addicted to the show ever since then, and I wouldn't change anything. You know.
Yeah.
What was your first impression
Of the movie?
of the movie?
Shoot. Probably, God, Spinel's annoying. Honestly, I wasn't looking forward to rewatching this movie because of how much Spinel annoys me as, like, a person. But I did really enjoy it, and the fact that it's got all these fantastic songs in it really just makes this feel like Steven Universe The Greatest Hits. I know none of these songs are reprises from the show, but it's got all the hits. It's got all your favorite gems.
Yeah.
It's got, the sort of peeling away of the backstory that we're used to seeing in the show.
There was a lot of that in the show.
Oh yeah,
There's
tons.
always...
I mean, the whole show, it was 5 seasons of just unraveling layers and figuring out who Steven's mom was.
Yeah.
And I really like that when Spinel, like, when they have the song that makes you cry, and Spinel is, like, explaining what happened to her, Steven's like, oh my god, I can't believe Mom would do that. Just kidding, I can totally believe Mom would do that. She would absolutely do that.
I don't want to think about it.
We finally come around to, like, Steven is totally understanding of the conflicted, like, the gray person that his mom was, you know?
I don't want to think about it, because it's just so sad.
Well, can you think about your star rating?
5.
Okay, not a surprise. Where is it on this list?
It's down there.
It's down there?
It's down there. There it is.
Steven Universe, the movie. We watched it yesterday. 2023, 04, 05. Which is actually exactly a year and 1 day after the movie above it on this list, which is Caddyshack.
What's your rating for this movie?
I'm going to give it a 4. I feel like it is Steven Universe Greatest Hits. It's a great piece of Steven Universe, but I feel like if they had had more time, they could have come up with something much more interesting. Not even necessarily firing Spinel into the sun, but just, like, they could have done more than retracing the steps of what brought the gems to where they are. Because it feels like we spent the last 5 years doing that.
Yeah.
Particularly Amethyst, but Pearl in no small part, and Garnet's a whole thing. Yeah, let me put it in 2019 here. I don't know what I want to do next.
I don't know either. I think I want to go back to what my original pick was.
Which was The Help.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were going to watch The Help, and then it's 2.5 hours, and we didn't want to watch The Help.
Gloria has been tired the past couple of days.
Yeah. We missed the opportunity to do Groundhog Day in February again, which annoys me.
There's always next year.
There's always next February, yeah.
God knows we have 150-something movies on here.
Yeah, I'm going to have to ask you some questions, like, would you want to watch a good movie or a bad movie?
I don't care.
You don't care?
You can pick any movie.
I'll find one in the middle. I like how Tropic Thunder is on here. I put that on here.
Yes.
What a movie. I haven't seen that one either.
You've never seen Tropic Thunder?
I haven't seen Tropic Thunder.
I've seen bits and pieces of Tropic Thunder.
Well, yeah, everyone's seen bits and pieces of Tropic Thunder.
I know Robert Downey Jr. plays a black guy.
Yes. Anyway. Shoot, I don't know. It's probably going to be something...
Something we haven't done yet.
It's probably going to be something a little bit wacky. It's probably going to be shoot, I was just looking at one that I thought was going to be a good one, and then I let it go. Um, it's probably going to be something relatively lighthearted and not too serious. Probably like Mystery Men. Mystery Men would be a really fun one to do, although I don't know how to watch that.
Look it up.
Yeah. Anyway, maybe Mystery Men. If you've ever watched... I'll say this again in the episode, but if you've ever watched the music video for All Star by Smash Mouth and wondered just what the hell is going on, it's because the music video was made for this movie. Anyway, we'll see you next week. Yeah, I'm not kidding.
What?
Yeah.